All right, good to get these guys on. I went on their podcast to give them a little non-biased Chicago sports interaction and insight. So now you get to come on my podcast and talk only Chicago sports. These are the guys. It's the Dink and Dunk podcast through Highbrow Lowbrow, Caleb Tackus, John Douglas, Jim Augustine. Guys, good to get you on.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
There will be plenty of bias.
Yes,
taken into here.
It's an
so
honor.
Let's talk some Bears. We'll talk some Bulls, some Hawks, but first promote your stuff. So you guys how did you get started the podcast and then what you guys have been doing through Highbrow Lowbrow?
Yeah. So John and I mean, we're stereotypical Chicago guys. I mean, we pretty much, our podcast consists of what we probably do on a daily basis anyways, which is talk about Chicago sports, drink a couple beers. And my friend Caleb over here was like, you guys are okay at this. How about we get together and just talk about sports, come up with some segments, and it became a thing. And I don't know, we've had a blast doing it.
The rest is history.
Yeah, super fun. These guys are fun. I like them.
It sounds like you really mean it. Thanks, man. I
No, that was
appreciate
the
your
most
support.
genuine thing
Yeah.
I've said all day. Come on, honestly.
So
But also
the podcast there, and then Highbrow Lowbrow is kind of like the umbrella for things, right?
right. So we're the parent company. So we bought them out. So if we're selling soon, if you want to buy stock in them, Dink and Dunk's going up.
Yep, I'm in the same boat. Yep.
Yeah, for days. But yeah, Highbrow Lowbrow, highbrow-lowbrow.com. We got comedy skits. We have satirical articles, podcasts like this. We got it all. So check us out. Once again, highbrow-lowbrow.com, and then also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Highbrow Lowbrow.
Sponsored by Arby's.
Yes. Okay. Love it. So let's get into it. My first question with the Bears, thoughts on the season. I mean, and if I told you, you guys learned on your podcast that I was a Falcons fan. What if I told you at the beginning of the year, the Falcons were going to be better than the Chicago Bears?
Are they though?
By 2 wins.
But we're talking wins, but
Come
know,
on, a little bragging
who feels
rights,
better as a franchise? Like, I don't know.
And to top it off, the Falcons have a better record with their top receiver just not playing.
Yeah.
And a minus 100 point differential. Like how?
It's what it's similar to. It's like, so anyone that plays fantasy football, it's like you have that one guy in your league that is in second or third place and has had the easiest schedule, right? He hasn't scored many points, but yet somehow he's sitting there in third place. And you're like, this guy sucks.
Do you think Matt Ryan truly wants to be there though? Like,
dude, you guys mentioned it.
Yeah. In the fourth quarter, like when they're like down 20 to Tampa Bay, he's like couldn't like,
and who's he throwing to?
Or San Francisco use a quarterback? Like, what's
Dude,
going on over there?
I've seen he's being floated out to Pennsylvania native. So people are thinking, hey, now that Gardner Minshew is taking snaps with Jalen Hurts, who's the future there? Big Ben is a walking corpse nowadays. The NFL is now with COVID coming back too. It's like, who the hell is going to win? It's almost like Tennessee last year when they got COVID early and then they got rid of it. So they ended up having a pretty deep playoff run towards the end.
Yeah, it's like same thing with Clemson. Last year they purposely gave their whole team COVID,
right.
And this is up for speculation, of course. This is just a fact. And they ended up being a pretty strong team heading into the playoff. But one thing I will add is that I'm actually, as much as I love the Bears, I am salty. Dylan, I'm not sure if you were aware, but in our podcast, I made a bet with John. The first 5 games of the season, I thought the Bears were going to go 2-3. He said they were going to go 3-2. Well, they went 3-2. I had to take 3 shots of Malort.
Ooh.
And as I mentioned on another podcast, after I lost my bet, the Bears have gone, I think, 1-7 since.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a bone to pick with them.
Look, I knew they were going to be bad. I just didn't think we'd be this bad. It's good to just see Matt Nagy squirm a little bit. And hopefully we bring in somebody that's, I don't know exactly who we want, but it's just anybody else.
Dylan, outside of Chicago, what is the Matt Nagy news? Because it's all we hear here.
I mean, you guys are a laughing stock, outside. It's kind of like what happened during Thanksgiving. There's reports you're going to fire him. A Chicago Bears head coach has never been fired midseason. And then that was the one win, remember, on Thanksgiving against the Lions.
That was a big win. It's a tough one.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Down to the wire. But I will say, for optimism, looking ahead, look at the division. You got Jared Goff. You got, is A-Rod going to switch teams? And then you got Kirk Cousins.
Jordan Love, baby.
Yeah, Jordan Love too. But at least you got a guy who is going through the rookie struggles right now with a terrible offensive line. You can't even do anything with that. Get some help there. Maybe Fields has a bounce back sophomore year. Division could be flipped for the next decade.
I mean, honestly,
love it.
Call us the
wait. Who's got the Chicago podcast? Us?
Yeah, giving hope. But yeah.
We're no different than the Chicago White Sox at that point. We have probably the worst division in the NFL, and we're just going to capitalize.
Right. But
not if Kirk Cousins has anything to say about it,
True. He'll still be tossing 250 yards at a time. Is Nagy gone? I want a roundtable answer. Yes.
Yes.
He has to be. The city will
riot. If not, I will start a Kickstarter fund to assassinate him. So if you that's like not in real life, but like mentally,
Well, what year in high school is his son? Because if he still has another football season next year, then there's no way they can let him continue to have a job, or else it's just detrimental to his son.
So who's the guy on your radar? Who do you guys want? And what's awkward is if you do end up, because I figure some NFL teams are going to end up canning coaches and looking for the next guys. What if you guys are, hey, we're not going to do Matt wrong, Bears culture, we'll give him the rest of the season. Then you miss out on all the hot candidates.
Personally, man, I love those. I mean, this was early on. I haven't heard many lately, but those reports about Sean Payton, super completely, I don't think factual, but just the hypothetical of him giving up on the Saints, coming to the Bears. I would love that. But
obviously. Yeah.
Give me Josh McDaniels.
Okay. Yes.
Or
have Justin Fields just throw it 3 times in the Windy City.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of just getting the latest quarterback whisper and hoping it works out. So
exactly.
You want Byron, or you want the cute Dallas guy?
Give me the cutest.
Oh, is that Kellen Moore? Yeah, the guy.
Maybe Kellen Moore.
Yeah, Dylan knew right away.
Maybe it's who do you just take whoever had the best offense that year?
What about Byron Leftwich?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, go get Ryan Day, make a push, reunite him with his guy.
That's been a rumor.
Trouble, though, is I hate when young quarterbacks just look what Trevor Lawrence is going through. He's going through Urban Meyer kicking his kicker and just being a total asshole. Who could have saw that coming? Right?
Yeah.
But he's like, good Lord, he's looking around. He's like, damn, I'm in Jacksonville. I've lost like 2 games in my career before I came here, and now. Is there a coaching change there? Is there a coaching change in Chicago? And it's like, is Justin going to have to learn a whole new offense and start over from scratch?
I'll tell you why Matt Nagy will get fired now that you mentioned it, because there's certainly going to become reports that Cody Parkey got kicked by Matt Nagy after the 2008 NFC Championship game. Once those rumors start swirling, then it's over.
Before he went on the Today Show, that all happened to him.
Yeah, no kidding. It's tough. So you guys are looking forward to next year, but you get to celebrate, especially in my face, because I was wrong on your Chicago Bulls. Again, I don't know what's going to happen with COVID. They're going through it now, postponed games this week. But I think that it's good they're getting it out of the way now, because if it comes playoffs, there's a team that showed their promise, beating good teams at the beginning of the year, and who knows, could make a playoff run.
Yeah, and
looking good. We were just talking about it just now. There's some rumors that they were looking to trade for Sabonis because the Pacers are kind of interested in blowing it all up. And if you get him, like, they got the best starting 5 in the league, probably.
I mean, getting him is just a huge Sabonis. So
yeah,
I had to. Yeah,
I don't have as great audio effects as you guys. Again, this is a Dink a cast, the highbrow, lowbrow. But yeah, Sabonis would be nice, especially because Vooch is like a standing scarecrow. I mean, he's fine with points, but when you look into the analytics, he's player efficiency rating 15, awful, and then he is dead last as a big man, 40% from the floor. The next guy ahead of him, 4% higher. I mean, it's what?
Yeah, wow. And I'm with you, Dylan. And he
had COVID. Give him a break.
This is the conversation we get into. Is like, Sabonis is really good, but he's on the Pacers, who it was a similar situation that Vooch had, right? Mm-hmm. So you bring this guy over, and how is he going to perform? So
it's the Michael Carter Williams dilemma.
I will say that what would be detrimental to me is if the Bulls have to get rid of like Patrick Williams along with some other pieces to get him. I don't think I'd like that.
He would be an upgrade because Sabonis is that threat like Jokovic, not at Nikola's level, but can pass, can find open shots, isn't just in the paint. I would like to see the Bulls make a move. I don't know what's going to happen who's going to be in the Lillard game. Is Simmons on the move? Like the way Lonzo's shooting from deep, like, could you imagine if Simmons just caved into defense and still allowed Lonzo to like do his thing on the wing? It'd be interesting.
Ben Simmons,
makes me feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want Ben Simmons though.
Yeah, or he could shell up. Yeah, again, who knows? That market's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we could have predicted just like how good Zach LaVine like really is. Like he is like a top 10 NBA player now, I'd say.
I'd argue even.
Yeah.
I mean, him and DeMar have been all NBA level.
It's crazy what happens when you bring another player at that level onto your team. Granted, Lonzo's a close 3, so how much pressure is taken off you would definitely.
I want to know who scares you guys, because the East is kind of loaded this year. Like you got the Celtics and the Hawks who have been there, made playoff runs, hanging around in the play-in level, but still a lot of season left.
I mean, it's the Bucks, really. I mean, the Nets. I don't know. Unless Kyrie comes back, I don't think they're an elite team.
Right.
But it's pretty much just the Bucks, and if when you saw it last year when their big 3 per se is playing well, like, and Giannis is,
doing Giannis things,
putting up 30 and 10 and 8. Like, that's really tough to beat because he's a Martian. Like there's nothing like him.
Right. It's interesting because you went from idolizing Jordan, right, to almost idolizing. Like, I feel like talking to some of my Bulls friends from home, it's like, this is more of a team. You're rooting for the team, which is interesting, kind of a concept this year.
So and I think, I mean, so there's it's twofold. So you have the Nets, and you have a team that can score on demand, and you get to the playoffs, and it's Kevin Durant. And he is the best player in my mind in the NBA right now. So in the playoffs, if it's a close game, you're in trouble. Kevin's getting the ball. And then you have the Bucks, who in my mind are a better rebounding team and a bigger team on that front. So if the Bulls are playing the Bucks, we're not able to match up. We don't even have like Alex LaRusso's our starting 4.
Yeah.
So that scares me. So it's those two teams.
I don't know, those Knicks, man. John Wall. Oof.
Okay. No, I got nothing.
Thanks, Caleb.
Yes. The Knicks went. See, I was worried that the Bulls would be, the Knicks surprised people last year as the 4 or 5 seed. Hawks did the same. But Hawks were actually the team that went on to make a run. Knicks have come back down to earth. Your guy's old buddy, Tom Thibodeau, right? Defense. I'm going to sit Kemba Walker. That's been a disaster, but I could put you guys in the middle of the pack, but I know you guys want to feel like you should belong in the Nets Bucks.
We belong.
Yes.
We belong.
That's why
you're there in the standings.
I see us as more of like a 3 to 5 seed end of the season, which is why I'm like, Bucks Nets. I don't want to see them, but honestly, I don't know. The 3 to 5, 3 to 6 is a toss up. I mean, the Heat, sure.
Totally.
Right now, the Cavs are somehow in there. The Celtics will come back, but otherwise, I'm trying
to
range.
think in my head who would guard Giannis on the Bulls, and like
it would have to be DeRozan, like, and then a double team.
Yeah, like I don't know, just put Caruso on him, and
but you guys would leave
it works out.
Patrick Williams or
around Chicago. Around Chicago, it's insane. There are more Caruso like billboards and posters than any other player. Like I have not seen any DeRozan stuff.
My buddy got a jersey. Caruso. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
it's like when Scalabrine was on the Bulls, right? Everyone, But it's in your guys' eyes, it's a successful season. I mean, you went from out of it to, hey, you're competing at the top of the division this year, and see what you can do in the playoffs, and then build off of it in the future. Yeah, they're actually fun to watch. Like it doesn't matter who you play, who they play anymore, because it's actually a fun team to watch. That's what's been nice.
Arturis for GM of the year.
Okay, yes. We're gonna unfortunately end with some not fun news because we got to talk the Chicago Hawks. I assume that you guys are all Blackhawks fans. Tough year, but I want to get your reaction on how did you go through that moral conundrum as fans when you saw all the shit that went on behind the scenes during the title dynasty?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
You guys can riff off what I say. So I think that what needed to happen happened. And as far as people in the organization that knew about it were let go, anyone connected with it in the organization, there were repercussions.
Yeah.
I think from that standpoint, everything that should have happened. When you get to the players, to me, it gets difficult because there were players that knew, but to that extent, there were players on other teams that also knew what was going on. And so I think how that was handled is fine. I know they just reached a settlement. Sure, as an organization, I think it's terrible how it was handled.
And it's the past regime. I mean, you still want to be able to root for your team. You want to separate the, you want to be able to root for your heroes, right? It's the don't find out who your heroes truly are. Like Joel Quenneville. I mean, like that
was hard.
Hall of Famer, and now he's disgraced from the game.
Again, I know some people were calling for like, take away their Stanley Cup and all that, but like, I don't know. That's not my decision. That's a tough conversation because it's not like it really.
And that's one of those where we vacate. I mean, totally different circumstances, but like vacating the Astros World Series, we still know they won the Astros, even though they're a bunch of cheaters. And this is a bunch of different, but it's like, hey, there was a lapse of judgment here at some serious administrative levels, but they still won the title. We're going to remember that.
Yeah. And the whole like case in my mind, I still don't fully understand. It's one of the weirdest things I think I've ever heard of as far as how that all goes.
It's just wild how late it came out too.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, to me, it's like they won the Stanley Cup and then they're like, you know what? I guess we got away with it for a little. Let's just suppress it forever. Like,
that's
where I'm like,
they were just like, well, let's not do anything about it. And this guy went on to have another job where he freaking.
That's what's crazier though. Yeah, they should have at least not recommended him.
I don't know. You know what? Good for Kyle for coming forward and doing all that. That's all. That's
and different time. And it's right. It's like in hockey is super interesting too because it's just like, hey, you got to be tough. It's like this tough culture. You got to do all this. So now you guys are just in rebuild mode, right? And hoping you can refresh, get a new group, and win.
We got Fleury, so I think we're going for it. So.
Right, exactly. No kidding.
I will say to that extent, it was a terrible thing, but I think it got some people out that needed to get out, and then Colleton was kind of just like collateral damage. Our old head coach, he was god awful. The new head coach that came in, Derek King, has actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we're in a weird spot where we have, you have Kane and Taves still, but we grabbed Seth Jones, who's in his prime right now. So, and we have a lot of young pieces. So we're in a spot where it's like, curious to see what they do in the next couple of years. The team's they've rallied. They're still, I think they're like 10 and 15, but with the pieces we have, I'm curious to see what kind of moves we make this year, next year, see what direction we go.
Yep, definitely. Chicago Sports with the Fellas will get you out of here with this. It is the Dink and Dunk podcast through Highbrow Lowbrow. Roundtable, Super Bowl predictions. The winner lifting the Lombardi this year is who?
Dude, the Bears aren't mathematically out yet.
This might be an elimination week for them.
Super Bowl prediction. I'm gonna go
Bears.
I honestly think
he's gonna say the freaking.
No, I think the Chiefs are like, I think they're figuring it out here.
That defense.
The defense is looking good. Like Mahomes really, they haven't like put together like the Chiefs games we're used to. So and I think they're still capable of it. So once they do that, like who's going to stop them?
Yeah. Agreed.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
I got two for you.
Love it.
One of them is just going to be chalk, and we're going to stick with the Rams.
Is that chalk?
I don't think
they look good. Yes, or 2 days ago.
They have some COVID outbreak that might, but
look,
I think they still won. Yeah, they split it with the Cardinals.
I think the Rams have had maybe like one or two games that I think it was the Titans, right? That's one throwaway. I think maybe another one. They look
They do.
I mean, dude,
offense.
Even Sony Michel step in. Like you have two solid running backs that'll come in. You OBJ, okay, sure.
Three straight tutties.
No Robert Woods, no problem. Okay,
Bobby Trees.
Give me them. And for a sleeper pick, you know what, man, the New England Patriots, dude.
Patriots, Bucks.
The number one seed in the AFC is a sleeper pick.
With yeah, and I guarantee if you,
I mean, rookie quarterback too.
Yeah.
Rookie
Yeah.
quarterback,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a sexy choice. I mean,
He
they're
did
a
it with
team-
Brady though.
Yeah,
Rookie.
Yes, I mean, and I'm not betting on the quarterback. I'm betting on Belichick, who seems to just know every single team nowadays. So,
And if they get the 1 seed and it goes through New England, crazy. Let's wrap us up.
I'm gonna say Chargers.
okay.
Yeah,
Might as well just sign off.
Jay Herb.
Chargers, huh?
Dude, they're explosive just like the Rams. When their offense is going, it's going. But they
That's
are pretty up and down, and they'll have to get through obviously the Chiefs there. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, I
that
was
home
gonna
field
say.
advantage would mean, or a home game for them in the playoffs would mean absolutely nothing.
It will be bleeding red. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you guys ready to cream Thursday night football? We got Chiefs, Chargers round 2.
yeah.
So that's gonna be
Brought an
something.
extra pair of pants, man.
Correct. Well, my pick, I'll go with some actual chalk. I'm going Bucks. I think they're gonna get the 1 seed. They did it last year, even on the road. Packers are playing really well.
And he's running.
Yeah, and he's running right with his spikes up. What's going on with that? But he's I think they've got the easiest schedule. And we've made fun of the Falcons. That division is probably the worst outside of the NFC South and the AFC South, just both, sewage. But yeah, I think the Bucks they're going to be in there. Hard to doubt Brady.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good looks. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the insight.
It's good to come on.
Yeah, thanks for having us, sir.
Always a pleasure, Dylan.
All right, it's our weekly hitter here with Ricky Larson, Lucky Shots Media. Follow his stuff, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. He's got the weekly fantasy football show, our Lucky Bets podcast, as we break down the lines in NFL. We like to talk fantasy football news and notes here, give it a little DFS, but of course, it's UFC as well. We watch some crazy stuff. Amanda Nunes, the Lioness, goes down, and Oliveira rolls. Both submission finishes there as Dustin Poirier went down to the champ.
Can we get clips of me last week saying Oliveira, saying Pena had a chance, even go down to Sugar Sean, Tom Cruise, Tua Tagovailoa?
Ty, we were locked in. You were locked in.
Shit. I mean, you look at Oliveira, that one was pretty easy. I mean, you didn't expect Dustin to go out and do much.
I love Dustin, but I was all over that with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Pena, it was a huge upset. Betting wise, it wasn't like the biggest of upsets, but just in terms of there's no way this person's losing and they go out and somebody upsets them. I mean, one of the biggest of all time, in my opinion. And I said,
you said, watch out. I mean, it was as close to Rousey, like, holy crap, but Nunes just got dominated. Like, I don't know what it was. Was she finally like, geez, I'm fighting a person every 2 months and I'm just raking them. And then all of a sudden you get clipped.
I mean, if you look at, the first round, it looked like Amanda Nunes, her just kind of picking her apart a bit. That second round, she just looked off. But I think it's because Juliana was in her face, starting to punch her. And she's like, holy fuck, somebody actually can punch me in the face.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just lost her composure and Pena capitalized. I mean, she got that rear naked choke. It wasn't even really a rear naked choke. It was more like a face crank almost, because it wasn't under the chin. And she went out and got her. And I love the nod to the Diaz brothers. I'm not surprised, motherfucker, afterwards. So I love it.
Yeah, and I like rooting for both guys, Oliveira and Poirier, just two stand-up dudes. And I think Dustin really put a nail on the head when he said, like, this dude is fearless on a win streak. And now he's coming in with the belt. He's validated. And he just, I mean, God, he went out there and it was a clinic. It was incredible. It was a great fight. What the hell is McGregor doing? I mean, I get it. Of course, yeah. Hey, so when am I fighting Oliveira? When are you going to get killed in 15 seconds? You're the ranked number 9 fighter. Miss me with that. Who would you like to see? I think you got to put Gaethje in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I expected to be the next up, was whoever won Gaethje versus Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
Gaethje went out, got the job done. That should be the fight. We'll see what the UFC, what Dana does, but I really hope they don't just go, oh yeah, let's make a huge money fight with McGregor and it lasts 30 seconds. I really hope it is Gaethje. I think that would be the fight to see, and that's what I would be excited to see.
That would be an absolute banger. With Juliana Pena, is the rematch pretty much set for that? Nunez is going to get a chance to reclaim it.
I mean, you would think so, but
maybe she gets one chance to defend her belt, and then Nunez will come in.
Or maybe Nunez just is like, look, I'm the champion of another division. I'll just focus on that, and she might take it like Ronda Rousey did and be like, I don't really want to fucking fight the person who beat me again.
Yeah.
Miss me with that. So who knows? I imagine there will be a rematch, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. All right, shifting to fantasy football here. I think the real headline is just how many Qs are next to players, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. COVID's just running rampant through the world, through NFL locker rooms. Who is someone on your radar that you're like, okay, we need to pick this up? It's fantasy playoffs too. It's like you're scrambling to try and makeshift your roster. Who could we not rely on here due to injury late in the season, and who is someone that could step up due to injuries?
Well, I mean, if you look at who's really on this list of people out, you got Josh Allen with his toe, he was limited. Jalen Hurts with his ankle, he was limited. Lamar did not practice yesterday with his ankle, and Aaron Rodgers didn't practice either with his toe injury. Rodgers, I don't think you got to worry about it. He's been dealing with that toe. They're probably just, take some time, just chill, Aaron, you'll be fine. Jalen Hurts and Lamar, though, even healthy, I don't know how much you can trust them going into these fantasy playoffs. Neither one's been playing all that great over the past few weeks. And I'm pretty sure if I look back to, the Thursday show, they're both guys that are cooling down that I don't trust. If you look at quarterbacks, Tua, he's somebody I would pivot to. Taysom Hill even is somebody I would pivot to. I mean, those two guys I would trust more than Hurts and Lamar in that area. You look at the running back position, you got Austin Eckler. He's probably going to play tonight, so not a big deal with an ankle injury. Fournette, an ankle injury, didn't practice. Eli Mitchell, concussion, knee, all sorts of things, didn't practice either. A guy you kind of talked about, Devante Freeman, he's somebody that you could look at that he may not, be a boom player, but if he can get you 15, that's, you're going to need some sort of consistent points if you're going to move yourself through the fantasy playoffs.
He's been unfortunately too much of a staple in my lineup lately. Devonta Freeman. It's just like, we're running rampant. I've got a direct question correlating to, I think, two of my fantasy lineups here is I've got Allen and Hurts. Which way am I going this week?
I think Josh Allen's going to be fine. So I think you can still roll him out.
Yeah.
I would completely pivot away from Jalen Hurts. Okay. Like I said, Tua is probably not available, but he may be. Taysom, I doubt is available, but those are two guys. And even, if say Baker doesn't play this week, go take a chance on Case Keenum. I mean, we watched him in his one game where he started and he did pretty all right. It wasn't anything to write home about, but again, you need some sort of consistency. You don't need a dud of less than 10 points. You need somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 to stay afloat at that position. So he's somebody else I think you could go ahead and try.
We've brought up Tua. I'm seeing his name pop up everywhere. People are expecting a top 5 performance from him this week at the position. Is it just the Jets? I mean, Tua's been looking improved too during this incredible Dolphins win streak, which has brought them from number 1 pick Brian Flores fired to in the hunt, of course. Right. Is it just the Jets or is Tua? Because Tua's still kind of like hitting 15 fantasy points here because he might throw an interception. He's a high completion percentage, not necessarily throw it down the field, but people expecting a big boom week from him against the New York Football Jets.
Yeah, he's in flux a bit, but it definitely helps that the Jets are the opponent. I mean, that's what's giving him the biggest push. I've been on him for the past few weeks. You know, if you got a team that's won 5 in a row now, they're playing well. He's got somebody in Jalen Waddle who is also questionable this week, but Devontae Parker, you still have Mike Gesicki in there, even though he hasn't been playing all that well. If Gaskin's in, you know, there's a lot of different weapons for this offense that he can do it with his feet. And he's not completely incapable through the air, and going up against the Jets is just a great matchup as well.
Scumbag, loser, fake head coach Urban Meyer is finally out in Jacksonville. He's kicking his kickers, saying, I'm the head ball coach. No one even says that in the NFL. He's a loser. He's going to be out of football for a couple of years until Fox NFL Sunday or Fox Big Noon Sunday adds another chair to the crowded desk of white guys. But my question is, now that the cancer's out of the locker room, what do we expect from any of these options? Like, is Lawrence going to improve? Is James Robinson all of a sudden going to have like 5 touchdowns this weekend? What's going on?
I think at best we can expect more out of James Robinson. I don't know what his vendetta was against the best player on that offense, but I think we can expect more out of him. Lawrence, we're just going to have to see. You know, he's been really just underwhelming as the number 1 pick. Yes, he went to not a great team, a team that offensively they just can't move the ball, but that's got to do a little bit with the play calling and how they're running that offense. If you let Lawrence go out and be Trevor Lawrence and play kind of the way that he knows how to play and get James Robinson involved, I think they're a little bit better of a team than they've showed this past, season.
Who the hell is he even like, is Marvin Jones, who finally, like, he gets into a verbal, altercation with Urban Meyer. Like, is he the guy? You got James O'Shaughnessy, who kind of sounds like a waiter at an Irish pub, but who's going to get the receptions?
I mean, honestly, a guy that should be getting more, I don't know, recognition is Laviska Shenault.
You're right.
He's definitely fallen by the wayside for most of the season, just because this offense is weird. They're just kind of all over the place. He's a really talented guy and somebody that going forward, he's a good young talent that should make something happen.
Who are some appetizing names that you see really taking advantage of a weak playoff schedule here now that fantasy playoffs are upon us?
That's a great question. I talked about it on my show on Thursday. Excuse my dog drinking all this water over there. But some guys that have decent playoff schedules. You look at Tua. He's got a decent playoff schedule. The Jets, then the Saints, then the Titans. Jets are 24th against quarterbacks, as are New Orleans. They're tied there. Tennessee's 26th against quarterbacks, so a really good playoff schedule for him. You look at Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon, either or. They got Cincinnati, who's 22nd against running backs, Vegas, who's 30th, the Chargers, who are 28th. Both of those guys, I lean more Javonte. Obviously, he's more talented, but that's a great playoff schedule there. And then you got Deontay Johnson, who's a target stud. He's got one tough game against Kansas City, who's 7th, and that would be your fantasy semifinals or whatever. Okay. But this first week, Tennessee, who's 31st against receivers, and then Cleveland, who's, a decent defense, but mostly because they rush the quarterback a lot, not so hot against fantasy receivers. And Johnson, again, is going to get 10 to 15 targets per game. So,
right. So load up. We're going to have to deal with COVID here, presumably over the next couple of weeks, hopefully not months. And so keep an eye out on that waiver wire and make sure that you can kind of mix and match your fantasy lineups to riding to gold. I think I had 6 teams, 4 made the playoffs. I think maybe 1 or 2 teams are like teams I'm confident about. You had some success in some leagues, Ricky?
Yeah. I'm the number 2 seed in one league, sitting at 10-4. Pretty good lineup. Gonna have to deal with COVID stuff, but got the bye week, so don't have to worry about it this week. Scored the second most points in another league and still finished tied for last. So a little salty about that, but
tough schedule.
What it is, you got to win games, and I just didn't do that. So
you sound like coach speak there. Got to win games. Next man up. We'll get them next year. Check out the Lucky Bets podcast where we talk some DFS value plays. We usually get that here, but we'll leave that to your podcast as well, which comes out on Friday. You'll catch this here a little bit Thursday evening for your pleasure. Friday, Saturday, whenever you can get to it. Of course, the games mostly on Sunday, but we do have the NFL Saturday games, a 2-game slate, and of course, Chiefs. Chargers tonight. You like that game? Who should we look at? We were kind of talking to your podcast. We think Herbert and Mahomes are going to go off. Mike Williams a little bit banged up. Who are some fantasy studs we might see tonight?
Should have Keenan Allen back, so that's obviously going to be the connection there that Herbert and him have. Austin Eckler is probable to play the game. I think, even a little banged up, he's Austin Eckler. He's one of the top backs in the league. He should have a great game. And how about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I've not been high on him. I thought they should have just stayed with Darrell Williams, but he's come back. He's made some plays, and he had a decent game the first time they played the Chargers. He had a really good game last week, so he's somebody else. Go out and make sure he's sitting in your lineup as well.
The Chiefs. Ever since Stephen A. said they were done, here they are. As we're accustomed to, great stuff as always with our guy, Ricky Larson, Lucky Shots Media. Give him a follow. Check him out. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Appreciate it, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. See you later.